this is Adam Levin for the Extra Point Podcast, here with my good friends and fellow DCPs, Andrew Goldberg and Zach Benau. Zach Benau covers the NFC West. Andrew Goldberg covers the AFC East. I cover the NFC North. We generally do a whole podcast around the whole NFL, but this time we're just splitting it up between our respective divisions and big topics. And we did the NFC North, and we did Zach's division, the NFC West, and now we're going to hit up Andrew Goldberg's division, the AFC East. Andrew, tell us, what's been going on in the AFC East since the end of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so the Patriots obviously won the Super Bowl, and that was very nice to stick it to all the Deflategate haters. So they were busy celebrating their Super Bowl victory, fourth one in the Belichick-Brady era. Rob Gronkowski was partying everywhere. But on the field, in terms of offseason type moves, Darrelle Revis obviously headlines that on the field type of stuff. They kind of have a 20 mil placeholder for him, but it seems like to be only a placeholder and not an actual contract number that they want to hit. They want to actually negotiate a longer term contract for him. But also swept under the rug in the secondary is the status of Devin McCourty. His brother Jason of the Titans wants to recruit him and have him come to Tennessee. And you know, Devin has said that he wants to test the waters in free agency. He's one of the more underrated safeties in the league. So it'll be very interesting to see what the Patriots do with him and whether they decide to just let him walk, because that is usually the Patriot way. They let guys walk if the price tag gets too high. In terms of the Jets, most of it is draft stuff. Marcus Mariota obviously headlines the possibility that the Jets could possibly get him at number 6, but who knows, because it's way too early after the NFL Combine. And then obviously the status of Percy Harvin, whether they're going to restructure his contract or not. Early reports are saying that Percy Harvin will not do that, so it'll be interesting to see if they let him go, especially because the Patriots have been rumored to be interested in bringing him on board in New England. As for Miami, it's been weird since the end of the season. Mike Wallace had a bad ending to the year, kind of off the field / on the field, but it doesn't look like he'll restructure his contract, and they don't want to release him. They want to try to get value for him, and Ian Rappaport of NFL Network has said that they are going to try to trade him among other possibilities besides releasing him. So that's kind of the big deal out of Miami, as well as them renovating Sun Life Stadium to be more open. But that's kind of, you know, in the background outside of player talk, and obviously improving the linebacker position. And then in Buffalo, Rex is ruling the world with big trucks, his new trucks and everything. And they don't know what they're going to do. Jerry Hughes, a stud defensive end for them, whether they're going to resign him or not, and also what they're going to do. CJ Spiller, running back as well. He's rumored to possibly go to the Jets. And lastly, they were in talks with Josh McCown, who's released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But no contract has been accepted by either side, so that is still on the table.
What kind of quarterback talent are the Bills looking into, Andrew? Quarterback was obviously a big weakness for them. They had a stacked defense, really good running backs and perimeter players, but no maestro. Obviously, that's probably a big draft need / free agency need. Have there been any names that the Bills have been circling for that position?
Yeah, outside of Josh McCown, they really haven't been, because the free agent market hasn't been very good. I mean, there is the Mark Sanchez, Rex Ryan connection because of their time with the Jets, and since Mark Sanchez will be a free agent. But, I mean, there really isn't much out there. And then in terms of the draft, they'll have to think about taking one in the second round, maybe a Bryce Petty guy or maybe a Sean Mannion out of Oregon State, guys in the later rounds, because as you know, they gave away traded their first round pick 2 rounds in order to take Sammy Watkins with the number 4 overall pick last year. So they have to kind of readjust their draft strategy to get somebody. But right now, all they have on the roster is E.J. Manuel, who they kind of gave up on, but reports are saying they still believe in him, so it's kind of weird. It'll be interesting if they give him a fair shot at the starting quarterback.
So, Andrew, you mentioned the Jets and Mariota. I feel like if Mariota falls to the Jets at 6, they'll for sure take him. Do you think there's any chance they will trade up to grab him? And if they don't get Mariota, then where's their quarterback situation stand for next year?
So I don't think they will trade up. I think with the new regime, they're not dumb enough to trade up. There's too many holes on this roster at wide receiver, at cornerback, on the interior of the line, possibly inside linebacker if David Harris leaves. So they definitely won't trade up. In terms of taking Mariota number 6, I think a lot of people would like that move. It's a PR move, to win over the fans. You get a quarterback outside of Geno Smith. But honestly, Peter King brought this up. Maybe they trade with the Eagles. I mean, if he starts dropping, they get a big bounty for Marcus Mariota, and he goes to Chip Kelly in that spread offense and works with Chip Kelly again. Maybe they get 4 or 5 draft picks over the next couple years. I mean, he kind of just said a first this year, a second this year, a first next year, and a fourth next year as well, which would be a whole lot for Marcus Mariota, who has a lot of questions surrounding him. But I could see them trade down, or they take Kevin White out of West Virginia or Mari Cooper out of Alabama. I don't think they would address the secondary again and take and reach for a guy like Trey Waynes out of Michigan State, or even Landon Collins, a safety out of Alabama, even though they just drafted Calvin Pryor out of Louisville last year.
The Patriots are entering a phase where, they're the defending champions, obviously, and Brady and Belichick have a few more years to go. But this is kind of a future question. Maybe post-Brady, are they very confident in Garoppolo? Do they think that once Brady's salad days come and he rides off into the sunset that they can trust in Garoppolo?
Yeah, I mean, they really do. A lot of his teammates like him and think he's doing a really good job working behind Brady. And also, there have been reports that, Garoppolo has really enjoyed working behind Brady, has taken everything in stride, kind of been a sponge, really soaking up everything that Brady teaches him and that, he sees out there. So I think they're very confident. I don't think they would have wasted a second-round draft pick last year if they weren't confident that, look, you're not going to replace the guy who's rumored or who can be argued or definitely is the best quarterback of all time after all he's done in New England. But in terms of maybe getting, 75% replacement rate out of Garoppolo, I think they're very confident in that happening. And that's a very tough job and not something that you want to do. You want to be the guy who follows the guy who already followed Brady, not the first guy to follow Brady.
Well, sure. Brady. A guy like Brady, who, like you said, might be the greatest ever, and I'm ready to say that that's a hard guy to replace. You'll never replace a legend like that.
Yep.
So you mentioned the Dolphins and mentioned Mike Wallace, and just of watching the Dolphins last year, they constantly, seem to struggle a little bit on offense. And Tannehill is Tannehill. They kind of can't really get over that hump. Obviously, they're in that tough division with the Patriots, but they can't ever seem to quite make it to the playoffs. They're always, they're not bad this year, but they're not great. Can they afford to lose a guy like Mike Wallace? Would that put them, way down?
It's a very interesting question because he did have 10 touchdown catches last year, but at the salary he's at, why keep him in all the charades he's pulled? It's very hard on the locker room, and they've had locker room troubles, obviously. And they just released Brian Hartline, who they signed to an extension last year, which was, odd, but he had a down season. So, they might do it for off-the-field stuff and chemistry-wise in the locker room. On the field, he's a deep threat, but you can't tell me that there's a guy in the draft that they couldn't draft in the later rounds and just say, okay, X receiver, wide receiver, streak down the field or be the deep threat. And, Jarvis Landry was a hell of a pick last year in a deep wide receiver draft. I think this is going to be another good wide receiver draft as well, so they may look to the draft to replace him if they can't trade him or get some sort of compensation for him. I think they can do it, and also they do have a lot of money to spend in free agency. I think rumors because of Bill Lazor being the quarterbacks coach in Miami, Jeremy Maclin is also a free agent. So if the Eagles for some reason don't resign him, maybe they take Jeremy Maclin.
Thank you, Andrew. That concludes our AFC East portion of these divisional topic stuff with our AFC East guru, Andrew Goldberg. We'll be right back.